favorite thing, the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Now, some stuff to consider here is we need to be really understanding of this. There is no rule at this time that says the vice president is going to become president, and the vice president's actually in Dallas at the same time. And the major fear was that with this guy being killed, the communists were in fact taking over, and that's a real fear, right? Now, on November 22nd, 1963, Kennedy and Johnson are in Dallas, Texas, for a re-election rally. They're trying to get our support. They're going to run in 64. We know that. Now, we also know, as the paper says, President Johnson is killed. Now, they did get a man, you can see him down here, charged as the assassin. Now, there's a lot of really weird things here, and I'm going to kind of get into this without getting too much into like secrecy and things like that, but I will kind of maybe touch on some conspiracy theories because they have to be talked about. All right. Now, an official commission, if you will, headed up by Chief Justice Earl Warren and some other people, most notably future President Gerald Ford, are privy to all of the information. They sit in a room for many, many hours, many, many days, and they come up with what we're going to say, all right? And that is the assassination of JFK was a lone gunman acting alone, not part of conspiracy or things like that. Now, what makes this a little bit difficult to understand is the Freedom of Information Act, what we passed in 1966, which it says that stuff should be published. However, the Warren Commission is not published in its entirety. It is blacked out in certain parts. Now, why that is, that's left to speculation and all kinds of just weird ideas, right? Now, this is the so-called Dealey Plaza, if you will. And if you can see the X here in the middle of the road, this is where Kennedy was approximately shot with a grassy knoll over hill to hill. And he came down, and here is the book depository, if you will. This window right here is supposed to be where the shot took place. Okay? Now, there's some theories here, and so if the shot came from here, it would have had to come from the back of the head and kill him, right? And that's another thing we'll get into. Now, this street, this event freaked people out so badly that when a horror master, a guy who makes horror movies for a living, needed a title for a series he was going to have, and he went with the thing that gave people nightmares in the 1960s. And maybe this will give away, but the name of the street is Elm Street, and that young man is Wes Craven, and the franchise is Nightmare on Elm Street. So there you are with that. Now Freddy has nothing to do with that, so there you go. Now, as we said, lone gunman, correct? The lone gunman's name is Lee Harvey Oswald. He is the convicted killer. And here's where it gets a little interesting as well, if you will. But he is a communist sympathizer. He used a Russian rifle that they recovered. However, we're not allowed to ask him many questions because on his way to court, jail, something, he will be killed by Jack Ruby. Now, later on in the Warren Commission, they left this out, but Jack Ruby and Lee Harvey Oswald did actually, in fact, know each other. And later on, Jack Ruby will go to prison, and he will suffer a heart attack. So this makes it all kind of crazy that the man who shot the president can't answer any questions because he's shot by this guy who has a heart attack, and all kinds of stuff. And the conspiracy theorists love this. Now, where are the conspiracy theories really born? From this movie. Well, they're really popularized. I guess they're born in a lot of stuff. A director named Oliver Stone will release a movie, a biopic if they call it, of JFK. Now, famously in this movie, this is the first time that the American public is privy to a really, really interesting thing. Oliver Stone got permission, bought, whatever you want to call it, a short film, a home video film known as the Zapruder film. Now, this is the horribly graphic one, and I'm not going to show it to you here. You can go pull it up. But what the Zapruder film shows is Kennedy being shot, and Like I said, it is graphic because when the other one hits the side of his head, it basically explodes. Now, what do we see in this? And why is this so interesting? Well, the Zapruder film is shot from the side, not the back, but the side. And if he's watching the bullet and they slow it down and everything like that, the bullet appears to come from the front and the side as opposed to the back from the Dealey Book Depository. And so this is completely going against everything that's in the Warren Commission. Now there's a lot of little loopholes in there as well, could this have happened, etc. And so that's where really this is born. Oliver Stone, if you can tell, has a thing called The Untold History of the United States. And so there's a lot of little things. He loves conspiracies. He loves kind of exposing things. Now, we have another major issue here. If the American public finds out that JFK is shot and there is no president, could there be a coup? Could there be a military takeover? Could there be a communist overthrow? To prevent that, LBJ is whisked away into Air Force One. Here he is, right? He is sworn in as President of Air Force of the United States in the air. Now, we don't have Twitter, so by the time he lands, everyone will know Kennedy is shot, but Johnson's our president, and we're going to move as going forth. So this is a very telling photo. You have Jackie Onassis Kennedy, JFK's widow, and then you have Lady Bird Johnson over here, Johnson's wife, and everyone looking on and angst and trying to get a feel for this man. How is he gonna handle this? Now, to prevent this from occurring again, it had been kind of common courtesy that the vice president took to make sure that that was in writing. And what happens if they're both taken out? The 25th Amendment is passed. Now, the 25th Amendment basically sets up a presidential line of succession. The president shot and killed the vice president. The president and vice president are both gone. It is the Speaker of the House. And then so on and so forth. And there's like 25 names there. And so there's a lot of interesting things to prevent us from ever falling out of different things, out of favor, if you will. And that's the main thing there. Now, the last little part here, we're going to talk a little bit about Johnson's administration. Now, if you remember, he's most notoriously remembered for Vietnam and things of that nature. All right?